Is this right? Is this wrong? Should I believe this? Is this true? Is this false? Every day, we all need to think. Every day, we all have to make decisions and choices. It is critical that we truly and correctly think. It's not merely to criticize others, unless you can think critically and the right way to do it. It isn't just thinking and thinking too much and overthinking. So what is critical thinking? It is critical. It is not just assumptions and judgments. Critical thinking is thinking based on analysis of facts. Not only facts, but one has to be able to analyze his own way of thinking. Do you ever think why you think this or why you think that? Critical thinking is open-minded and demands reasoning. So it will make sure that we think right and counts on facts a lot. It does not accept whatever argument or conclusion we're exposed to. It is thinking and questioning truly and correctly in the argument to get to the right conclusion. So it is smart and it is essential. How do we do it? This video is an introduction to critical thinking and an essential overview of it. As critical thinking is such a big and interesting topic, other videos following it under the subject of critical thinking will be on MC's Logic. So let's start this critical thinking introduction. Since the very beginning, in prehistoric times, there existed man versus animal. After humans' first encounter with a tiger, he learned the fact that tiger can be dangerous. Maybe he had to learn it through the price of a life, perhaps. So to not pay the same price again, he has to count on the fact that he learned, so will he be so careless this time? How does he prepare for his second encounter with a tiger? Critical thinking will now be his weapon against death. Ever since the beginning of time, critical thinking has served us to get food, shelter, clothes, and our basic needs. We all know that there is always the possibility of failure. To prevent failure and truly and correctly learn from it, and also to progress towards success post, we need critical thinking. Critical thinking can save us time, money, and stress. Critical thinking has many good results. Firstly, a critical thinker is rational, so he does not jump into conclusions or give up easily without the right reasons first. He does not take anything for granted. For example, he does not take his favorite idol or even his own success for granted. This is a stellar benefit, and I'll explain more about it on MC's Logic. A critical thinker thinks extra yard than others. I'll give you an example story for this, with two characters, namely a woman and her neighbor. A woman was expecting a delivery, but she knew she wasn't going to be home. So she made arrangements for the delivery to leave the package at her neighbor's house. The neighbor, after dinner time, brought the package to her house, where the woman said to her, "I'm so glad you didn't know what was in the package. Those are the diamond earrings my daughter sent for my birthday." At first, the neighbor felt insulted. Why do you think so? Because she supposed that the woman was implying she was dishonest and would have stolen the package if she knew it was valuable. But she was a critical thinker. She knew that she hadn't done anything or given the woman enough reason to think of or treat her like that. So she went to demand reasoning. She went on to ask, "Why are you glad that I didn't know what was in that?" The woman replied, "Because if you did, you might not have been willing to be responsible for such a valuable package." That was the answer. and the woman was extremely relieved. If she did not make the effort to clear up the misunderstanding, then their relationship would have been completely deteriorated without the woman ever knowing why, and she could have lost a valuable friend, and that can come with undesirable consequences. You will have derived from the story now that the critical thinker did not stop her thinking at the false conclusion and thought extra hard to demand reasoning. She wasn't set on or closed to her first assumption, so she was also open-minded. And she also knew that a different meaning was possible, so she did the right thing to politely question the other side. No, she did not ask if the woman thought she was a thief, quietly to herself in her head. She openly asked her the right question. It is great that critical thinkers do not fear challenging culturally or politically dominant fallacies. A very good example would be discriminating between men and women. In the old ages, life safety was a main concern for survival, and most men appeared more masculinely bigger-sized and strong with tougher and harsher voices than women, right? So mostly men, it may not be all the case, were assigned to take care of survival, to carry stones and build houses and fight off predators. So men were favored and prioritized for doing that role, being chosen based on physical and first impressions. But women, if you actually test them out and try, can be even better survivors. And they can survive just as well as men, if not better, which is many times the proven case these days. And life has come to be much more than that, with education, entertainment, technology, politics, and many etc. Whenever women are given a chance, they can prove themselves to be just as capable, equal, or in some cases even stronger than men. It is proven that without the unfair male dominance, men and women these days more than ever are seen to be different yet more and more equal. There's a Christian saying, all humans are created equal and all are equal in God's eyes. So practically, thinking critically, the men-women discrimination is irrelevant, and we can all be free from this old culturally dominant fallacy. In critical thinking, in reasoning, there are some techniques. My favorite is deductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning is defined as to determine if whether the truth of a conclusion can be determined for that rule based solely on the truth of the premises. It says to accept only valid and sound arguments. Let me define them first. A valid argument is one where the conclusion is logically true whenever all the assumptions and or premises are true. And if the assumptions are proven to be correct, then the argument is sound. Deductive reasoning suggests that we should accept those arguments only which are both valid and sound. Let's look at some examples to clarify this and or just for fun. If husband is president, she is first lady. This is true. Wen Min is the president of Myanmar. Churchill is the wife of Wen Min. These two premises are also true. Thus, Churchill is first lady. This argument is valid and sound. We accept this. Example number 2. If the moon is made out of green cheese, then astronauts can eat moon rocks. We can check the logic is true. The moon is made of green cheese. Astronauts can eat moon rocks. Here we see one of the premises is found to be incorrect. This premise is wrong. This argument is valid but unsound. We do not accept this. One more example. Thirdly, if Abraham Lincoln died of cancer, then Lincoln is dead today. This still seems okay. Lincoln is dead today. Sure. Abraham Lincoln died of cancer. This argument is invalid. We do not accept this. Have you detected the flaw already? The premise that we built our argument on says if Abraham Lincoln died of cancer. So it is a conditional and uncertain statement in itself, which is also found and proven to be incorrect. So the premise is wrong. There are other techniques for reasoning which are not as perfect. One is abductive reasoning. Abductive reasoning allows inferring A as an explanation of B. So we take A out of all the possible reasons as the reason without careful analysis. If we're going to take the sample A with the sampling method, our visibility might be too narrow. And the problem with abductive reasoning is that the observations are an incomplete set. And we're just taking our best shot at the likeliest possible explanation for the set. So it may not be A, it may be C, and maybe we're wrong. I don't recommend this technique if there's any other better option. Root cause analysis, however, is a reasoning technique I very much like. It is a great tool for critical thinking. For example, if we do a root cause analysis on global warming, 1. There is global warming. Why? 2. Because of greenhouse effects formed by greenhouse gases. Why? 3. Because of air pollutants. Why? 4. Because humans release too much carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. Why? 5. Because of too many greedy human behaviors that are negative and harmful to the environment. So these humans, right? So it's simply put to ask why at least 5 times. That would be another reasoning technique other than deductive I recommend. And that would be all for this video about an introduction to critical thinking, to be followed by many more videos on MC's logic. I will try to eliminate all the barriers to it and get all of us to learn truly and correctly. So do support this video and support and stay tuned for all the others coming on MC's Logic and all other programs on MC House. All the very best.